Hello once again, race fans, and welcome to another exciting edition of Off Track TV Live, coming to you from the beautiful studios here at the Weedsport Productions studio in Weedsport, New York. Along with Dan Kapuscinski, I'm the voice, Shane Andrews, and Dan, it has been far too long since we've been together.
I was going to say, I'm just happy to see you here today. We certainly missed you last night at the Land of Legends Raceway.
Well,
Shane.
it's great to be back. Work commitments come first sometimes.
Priorities.
Priorities, you have to do that adulting thing on occasion. But we'll talk a little bit more about the Land of Legends Raceway on last night's activities with the Super Dirt Series. And, of course, Dan and I, throughout the show, we want to hear from you. We'll take your questions on later on tonight. Send us your questions at info@weedsportproductions.com, on our Facebook page at Weedsport Productions, or you can hit us on Twitter. I'm at NYVoice13.
Yep, at Dan_Kapuscinski.
Dan, it's been busy in the world of racing the last couple of weeks. We've had some great shows here at the port and also at the Land of Legends Raceway, and we're going to talk about those. But let's talk first about a big night a couple of Thursdays ago out at the Hall of Fame right here in Weedsport, the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame. Pat Ward, Brett Hearn being inducted into the Hall of Fame, along with Harold Bunting from Delaware, the first driver from Delaware, and Joe Donahue, the Southern Tier pioneer driver. A great night to reminisce and talk racing and history.
Absolutely, and it's just an absolute beautiful facility. If you've not had a chance to get to that Northeast Dirt Modified Hall of Fame, you really have to make time to do so. They're online through Facebook as well, Shane, and it's a great way to kick off a Hall of Fame weekend. It's a perfect way to get folks here in town early on, onto the site, and just get things really ramped up for that big 10,000 to win show that comes up later in the week.
That's right, and it happened on Sunday, July 25th, when the Super Dirt Series returned here to the port for a $10,000 race. As Dan alluded, 100 laps. Dirt Car Sportsmen were here as well, and Rich Vleck, our good buddy Rich, was on hand at the port, and he was able to catch up with some of the drivers to get their thoughts about the series so far in 2021.
It's a beautiful night for racing here at the Weedsport Speedway for the Super Dirt Car Series. Even got to have the sunglasses on. That's not something you could say the last 2 months on the tour. Only one race has been contested, and a number have been rained out or postponed. That's not exactly what a lot of professional drivers that do this for a living have been looking for. I had a chance to talk to them earlier about what they're going through in the shop and getting to the racetrack to be able to make the bucks that allow them to stay on the racetrack all year long. What's it been like for your team trying to deal with, are we racing, are we not racing, we're there, we're racing part of the time? What's it like?
It's kind of been a little bit of a relief for us because the schedule's so packed full of races right now in the middle of the summer that a few nights off here and there doesn't hurt to give us a little extra time to get ready for the next race. Our team's been struggling with a lot of part failures, so we've had a lot of stuff to fix. Had a few DNFs lately. It's been troubling, but what's weird is that with all the rain, the tracks have still been pretty dry. We've had so much sun too that I think they've been keeping the tracks hard because they don't want them to get rough, which is great, and they still end up kind of dry at the end of the night.
Normally I would say it's a bad thing. We want to race as much as we can, but it's kind of been in our favor. 2 weeks ago we tore our car up, so having some rainouts and stuff gave us a little extra time to get our stuff turned around and back in order. So for us, it was a good thing, but yeah, we always want to race as much as we can.
It stinks for all of us, but it is what it is. And I actually was so bad at Canandaigua the other night, I was glad it rained out, so it gives us a chance to go figure out what we had wrong, and hopefully got it fixed for tonight.
Sometimes you enjoy a rain out because you get more work done at home and in the garage, and unfortunately, it's been the big ones that have rained out recently. We haven't had many big races, and we're looking forward to tonight, 10,000 to win. It should be a good night.
It's definitely pretty tough. These bigger races, we got to get better at them, and if we ain't racing, we ain't getting any better at them.
You'd never like to see a race get rained out that we obviously fast time, won our heat race, Andrew outside pole, so it's if you're rolling that good on the night, you want to keep it going because, rescheduling, we're still going to get to start second, but sometimes you're just not as good as you were the first night too. So it's tough, it's I do this for a living, so the Super Dirt Series races are better paying shows, so it's tough to lose those races, especially if they get cancelled. We've already lost a lot of the Canadian race, well, all the Canadian races this year. So, Mother Nature, leave us alone. Let's get some racing in.
A packed house on hand and some heavy hitters in the world of big block modified racing in the pit area for the Hall of Fame 100, Dan. And I guess we need to find out who made that elusive trip to Victory Hill.
That's absolutely right. And collected $10,000 in a guaranteed spot in the Billy Whitaker Cars 200.
Let's take a trip back in time and take a look at Weedsport, New York, Sunday, July 25th, the Hall of Fame 100. Tim Sears Jr., up-and-coming star. Boy, he's made a lot of noise in 2021. Jumped out to the early lead in this one.
He certainly has. You saw him on the pole position for this one. Got out front early on, but Stuart Friesen was really working the inside of the speedway very well. And Shane, the racetrack was absolutely hooked up for this event. Different than what we've usually seen here at Weedsport. There was bite all over the racetrack.
Here's Friesen in the 44 out of Sprakers, New York, going after the Sears number 83X. Both of those drivers guests this year on Off-Track TV, and it would be Friesen grabbing the number one spot.
That's right. We see Matt Shepard, Billy Decker battling here, and like we talked about, the inside and the outside wide open for these drivers back on July 25th. It was great to see, and a bit of a precursor for what we hope to see for the World of Outlaws coming up the next week, which we're going to talk about here shortly as well.
Mad Max McLaughlin in the number 32C making his presence known, going after the number 44 of Stuart Friesen and grabbing the number one spot right here for just a brief moment, but the 44 comes right back by him.
This was really an epic battle all race long here, Shane, especially here in lap traffic. Like we talked about, when there's multiple lanes, drivers tend to get caught in that traffic. So being out front is not always the place you want to be when you have to contend with lappers like this.
You can see how heavy that cushion there it is in turns number 1 and 2. Usually we see that up against the wall. And Dan, you talked to a number of the drivers in the redraw. They were a bit thrown off by the track conditions that night.
Yeah, and it especially caused issues early on in the hot laps prior to time trials, because guys unloaded, prepared already for a slick track, and they had to really free their cars up in order to find some speed earlier on the night. But by this point, everybody knew what they were going to be in for.
Friesen and Mad Max doing battle up front. Behind them, Chris Heil in the number 5H, who always runs good at Weedsport, and Eric Rudolph, who started someplace back on the east side of Rochester, made his way up into the top 5.
That's right, but nobody on this night was going to have anything for Stuart Friesen as he charged away to the victory in this one and earned $10,000 in doing so.
His 4th win of 2021 on the Super Dirt Car Series. So Stuart Friesen continues to stay hot with that number 44, and you've got to be impressed with just the way that he's run all season long.
Well, absolutely, and especially the fact that he can do it anywhere he goes, and they unload so quickly and fast and really have a good handling race car, and they make all the right moves throughout the night. He's just one of the most experienced drivers in the field, and it shows.
Well, he's got Jay Castamar on the tires, Tommy Conroy, the crew chief on that car, really have that big block modified humming in 2021, his 4th win on the tour. Well, now we're going to shift gears from the big blocks to the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series. The NOS Energy Drinks World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series returning to the port for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah, since 2018, and it was no surprise early on to see Donnie Schatz up there on the pole position. He's got multiple wins here at Weedsport in recent years, but Wayne Johnson in that 2-car ran really well early on in the evening, but the guy turning everybody's heads early was Sheldon Haudenschild in that 17.
Oh boy, was he fast. He was up on the top side. Here he takes the position away from David Gravel in that number 2. This moves him up to position number 2. Now, you would think, okay, Donnie Schatz starting on the pole at Weedsport, this is going to be a no-brainer. No, it wasn't, as Haudenschild passes him and takes over the number 1 spot with 9 to go.
Yeah, Sheldon was using that outside lane very much similar to what you might have seen his father do back in the day, and he was pushing it hard. There's no doubt about it, being very aggressive, and Shane maybe a little bit too aggressive here as we go down into turn 1.
This whole race changed right here. Trouble with the number 9 machine, contact with the leader, Haudenschild. He spins out of the number 1 position. A tough break for Haudenschild. He had this race won.
Yeah, he certainly did, but you got to remember, like all other forms of dirt racing, no spotters, no mirrors, no communication. these guys are driving as hard as they can for 30 full laps.
That put David Gravel into the lead with the number 15, Donnie Schott second, but Brad Sweet would get by him as David Gravel would win his first race at the Weedsport Speedway.
And it was big for David. He had not won a race in, I think, just over a month. They're progressing through this month of money now here in the month of July. Of course, the Knoxville Nationals are coming up here very soon, next week. So good for David Gravel to get his feet back on the ground once again.
Huge momentum going into the big
Absolutely.
money races, especially Knoxville. We're just scratching the surface here on Off Track TV. When we return, we're going to take a trip to the Land of Legends Raceway. So we're going to pay our tolls and jump onto the thruway. More from Weedsport when we return.
Weedsport Speedway is home of the fastest cars and biggest stars. With over $1 million in recent upgrades, our fans know this is the premier race destination in the Northeast. The fan experience is at the forefront of everything we do. LED light shows, luxury suites, premium stadium seating, and a 27-foot HD video display to engage and entertain fans. And by the way, our fans, yeah, our fans kick ass. They are committed and loyal. They bring their families to races. They consistently engage with us over social media, on our website, and tune into our incredible productions airing on national TV and streaming online. This year features an exciting season of events. It's a blast to go fast. Want to talk to a growing audience and next-generation fans? Customized sponsorship opportunities make it super easy. We have event sponsorships, product sponsorships, digital billboards, web, social, digital ads, race day displays and signage, booths and promotions. Video opportunities both in-venue, on national TV, and streaming online. The drivers, the excitement, the speed. The Port Burgers are why fans show up. At Weedsport Speedway, our venue and production are the reason they keep coming back. Be a part of the best season yet.
The Chevy Silverado Trail Boss. When you have a 2-inch lift, when you have Goodyear Duratrack tires, when you have Rancho shocks and an integrated dual exhaust, when you have all that, the last thing you'll need is a road. The Chevy Silverado Trail Boss, ready to off-road, right from the factory.
See your Central New York Chevy dealers.
On Friday and Saturday, August 13th and 14th, Progressive American Flat Track roars to Weedsport Speedway in upstate New York.
You see how bad these guys want it.
An event for all ages, Weedsport Speedway is hosting 2 nights of racing as the world's fastest dirt track racers battle bar to bar for victory. The Mission Foods New York Short Track, presented by Mad Max Indian Motorcycles, doubleheader on August 13th and 14th.
Welcome back to Off Track TV. Shane Andrews, Dan Kapuscinski, bringing you some recaps of all the racing action taking place here in Central New York over the last couple of weeks. As a matter of fact, let's talk about last night. The Land of Legends Raceway, Dan, Super Dirt Car Series, July 3rd, rained out, went back last night. This was a 60-lap feature event for the Super Dirt Car Series. Tim Fuller and Peter Britton up on the front row.
That's right. And how tough must it have been for these guys to know that they were going to have to come back in a few weeks and just kind of sit on the idea where they were going to start and how this race might shape up. But Peter Britton in that 21, I think he was pretty happy with it.
Trouble right here for Stuart Friesen coming off the win at the Weedsport Speedway. Dan, take us through what happened.
Yeah, I actually talked to Stuart after this feature. Said he actually made contact with the back of Justin Hares, and that's what caused the right front tire to go down. So Stewie had to go to the back of the field and try to work his way back through.
We watched this battle right here between Larry White and the 99, the 98H of Jimmy Phelps, and Post Malone's favorite big block modified driver, Eric Rudolph, making circles at the Land of Legends Raceway.
That's right. I'll tell you, he was looking really good through the middle of the racetrack here, working his way out and around the outside of Jimmy Phelps and then Larry White. And Eric, of course, the Land of Legends Raceway point leader, a local favorite, letting that expertise show here in this first 60-lapper.
You see him trying to close in on Tim Fuller's number 19, who's running in position number 2, and he will try to make a move on the top side with that number 25, and it would pay off for him.
Yeah, it was interesting watching these drivers work the back straightaway into corner number 3 to try to find the bite and then dime in the corner. Rudolph was doing it to perfection as he tried to chase down Peter Britton here, Shane, but he was checked out and gone.
Peter Britton picks up the win for the Super Dirt Car Series at the Land of Legends Raceway. The driver from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia to victory lane, and that's a popular win.
It certainly was. That's what I was just going to say. The crowd went absolutely insane. Peter had tears in his eyes. He said he was having to wick him out on the way to victory lane. It was a long time coming for Peter to get that first victory, I think, since Sharon Speedway,
Yes.
some multiple years ago now, and he did it in convincing fashion.
When I knew it was a popular win, his mom, Jane, tweeted me last night and was just ecstatic about the win that Peter picked up at Land of Legends. Good to see the number 21A of Peter Britton in victory lane. Well, that was just the first of 2 60-lap features last night at the Land of Legends Raceway. Here's race number 2. Mike Mahaney in the 35 and Stuart Friesen would bring them down to the green flag for the nightcap.
Yeah, Stewie in the 44 got a great jump from the outside of row 1, but we had trouble early on here, Shane. Multiple cars getting tangled on the front straightaway. Larry White, Daniel Johnson coming in, Justin Wright, and Jordan McCready. A terrible tumble for both Johnson and Larry White in the 99. Fortunately, Shane, all drivers were able to get out under their own power, and they were A-OK, but certainly a nasty tumble.
4 very good race cars taken out of that event in that skirmish. Like you said, everybody was A-OK. Green flag flies one more time, and it would be the 35 of Mike Mahaney jumping out to the number 1 position as Stuart Friesen had him in his sights, lurking behind him as he would work the bottom side of the speedway.
Well, it was interesting early on. Mahaney was able to take advantage of the red flag to know that he needed to start on the outside for the next restart, so he was able to get out front here early on, but you could tell that Friesen was going to be the car to beat. He was patiently and consistently working the inside of the racetrack and eventually was able to snag the race lead.
Friesen on the bottom, the Mahaney number 35 up on the top side as Stuart Friesen would put the 44 in control. As we get a shot here from the drone, we're watching the number 9S and Matt Shepard, who really a prohibitive favorite coming into this event. This is a track he knows very well.
He does, and he did good on short runs, but unfortunately last night in both features we had long green flag runs for Shepard, and it seemed like that 9S car just faded the more laps that went on. But the 19 of Tim Fuller, that was not the case. As the race progressed, he was one of the few drivers, if not the only driver, that could find the outside of the speedway to his liking.
Former track champion at the Land of Legends Raceway, Tim Fuller in that number 19. 2 60-lap events, 2 podium finishes for the driver out of Edwards, New York.
That's right. He was really running consistently the whole evening, and we talked about it off air earlier, Shane. He's a little bit underfunded. Not a whole lot of guys going to the racetrack with him, but he's certainly making it work in that 19.
Tim Fuller would finish second for the second time this year to this man, the number 44 of Stuart Friesen, his 5th win on the Super Dirt Car Series Tour in 2021. They have got it clicking.
Well, I'll tell you, Stu was kind of the happiest I've seen him in a while, to be honest with you, because he'd had so much bad luck at the Land of Legends in recent years. I think they said it was his first big block win there in 16 years.
Wow.
So Stu was able to put a hurting on him last night.
And, it just goes to show, we heard Rich Vleck talking to these drivers, sometimes those rainouts aren't a bad thing. It helps you get back to the shop, to work on the cars, find some things that maybe were ailing the machine, engine-wise, chassis-wise, that you can get corrected. And you know as well as I do, Dan, races are won at the shop, not at the track.
Well, that's correct. And the racetrack itself, right up until the very end of that second feature, was beautiful all night long. Multiple grooves of racing, and that's something I don't think we were going to get on the rainout night at Land of Legends either. So really, all in all, it worked out in everybody's favor.
A lot of preparation goes into making these race cars go fast. When we return, we will hear from some of the drivers about that prep, and Dan and I will take your questions. More on Off Track TV in just a moment.
Weedsport Productions is the live video production company that you need at your next event. Our mobile production truck is outfitted with the most advanced broadcast equipment in the industry. Weedsport Productions covers racing, live sporting events, corporate events, and concerts. We can broadcast your event live, stream it to the internet, or produce an exciting in-venue experience for your audience. Visit weedsportproductions.com now to learn more.
On Friday and Saturday, August 13th and 14th, Progressive American Flat Track roars to Weedsport Speedway in upstate New York.
You see how bad these guys want it.
An event for all ages, Weedsport Speedway is hosting 2 nights of racing as the world's fastest dirt track racers battle bar to bar for victory. The Mission Foods New York Short Track, presented by Mad Max Indian Motorcycles, doubleheader on August 13th and 14th.
With a big block, a lot of it's the driveline maintenance. We've gotten more traction in the cars as of late, the last couple of years. So axles, drive shafts, hubs, bearings, and then it kind of transfers into the shocks too, and their shock mounts, and everything's just under so much more load than it used to be that it's really hard to keep on top of these cars so that we don't drop out of the races. So there's a lot of things to be replaced, inspected, greased, lubed, just make sure that everything's tight. And then there's the tires being washed and ground and mounted and sized up and siped, and it's just, there's so much to it. And then there's the bodies being washed and straightened, and we try to keep them, aerodynamic and looking nice and everything, and for all our sponsors. So there is a lot to keeping these cars going on the track.
So it's a lot of preparation. I mean, it takes a lot of thinking and a lot of planning. But fortunately, I got good people behind me that make it easy.
It's like anything. It's all about how you adapt. Like as racers, we get a million things thrown at us, every night, and the guy that can adapt best is normally the guy that gets the checkered flag.
When we race a lot, like in the month of July, there's a lot of work in between each race. It's not just wash the car and bring it back out again. There's a lot of hours, probably 20 hours between each race, getting tires back ready and everything, getting everything switched back and maintenance and stuff like that. So it's definitely can be grueling sometimes during the month of July, but that's what we love to do.
Dan, it doesn't matter whether it's a big block modified or even a 4-cylinder on dirt. There's a lot of preparation that goes into racing, and if anybody on this panel right here tonight can speak about the preparation and getting a race car ready better than anyone, it would be you with your small block super. We heard from the big block drivers. Take us through your perspective on the pavement.
Well, certainly, I tell you, it's a little bit different on our end. We run 12 races a year. A lot of the drivers that you heard from in that package are running 12 races in a month. Right. So we do the same style maintenance, the same preparation, the same work, just in a little bit different time constraint. Not necessarily doing it every single night like these dirt modified drivers are having to do. But packing wheel bearings, checking fluid, all of those things are important, and especially at Oswego Speedway where you're pulling the lateral G-forces that you are. Checking tightness of everything is very important too. You could not touch anything all night long, and half of the nuts and bolts on the race car could be loose. If you're not keeping your time in the garage to check on that stuff, you're not as safe as you could be on the racetrack.
But we also talked about that earlier this year when the big blocks went to Bristol with the G's that they were going to be facing down there. And I'm sure those teams not only did extra precautionary measures on that event, but also when they come back to their local tracks on Saturday, Sunday, Friday night, it doesn't matter. These teams, every driver that you heard from on that package have crews, and there's a checklist. If you went into their hauler, you're going to find a checklist that they have that everybody is responsible for.
And typically, that's exactly what I was going to say, Shane. Typically, the teams that are successful have that crew of people. Every guy has his job. Every guy or gal has their job. They're one thing that they focus on, and then usually somebody will rotate in behind them, maybe double check just to go back through to make sure everything's tight. People forget things. People make mistakes. Right. But when you have a team of people, you can double up on that stuff.
So on a race night, what's the one job that you have for prep that you don't like doing?
Well, believe it or not, cleaning belly pans is like the worst thing, at least in our world, because we are absolutely paranoid about keeping the bottom of the car sealed up. So there's some duct taping involved and everything else, but cleaning is not that much fun. And I learned that in the couple years that I was doing dirt sportsman racing. That's one nice thing about Oswego Speedway. You got to tangle with a little rubber here and there, but that's about it.
Well, when we see a rain come into a racetrack and we do end up holding an event, we see a lot of clay get stuck to these modifieds, and the mud scrapers come out, or the winter brushes, if you will. The winter scrapers come out. The ice scrapers then become mud scrapers, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, a lot of times you're making that trip to the car wash before you even get home. A lot of times, too.
Well, I'll tell you some drivers that need to have prep done and need to do it meticulously, and that is the American flat track motorcycle racers when they're on the track. Man, can you imagine? It's one thing to strap yourself into a big block modified or a small block super and do 100 miles an hour on 4 wheels, but how about doing that on 2 wheels?
With no seatbelts, no roll cage, no protection. You're just hoping that wherever you hit the wall, there might be some hay bales hanging out. But Shane, I'm so excited to see that the American Flat Track Series is coming right back here to Weedsport Speedway again. And it's going to be a double header this year. They're going to be running August 13th and 14th. You can get all the tickets for that at AmericanFlatTrack.com. I'm always exciting to see them come back to Weedsport.
And, it is an exciting show. If you've never seen the American Flat Track motorcycle races, this is the place to see it, because you are right on top of everything. You can see the drivers, meet the drivers, see the motorcycles that they ride up close. It's a great family event. As Dan mentioned, August 13th and 14th right here at the port. It's going to be a great weekend.
And it's absolutely unique for these racers, too. When they say short track, it is certainly short track racing for these AFT drivers who will compete on tracks as big as a mile.
Oh, yeah.
But Weedsport is one of the smallest ones they're ever going to run on.
I find it unique, too. It doesn't matter whether they run on a 3/8 like here or a mile track. It's the same number of laps of heat races. And for the feature,
really? Well, there you go.
I thought that was cool. They don't
deviate from it.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool that they do that. So
we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely, I wouldn't do it.
No, absolutely not. I've never even ridden a motorcycle. I'm not going to race one.
Well, we know that you've raced a kart, and the Kartway, the short port, summer championship action, Thursday Night Thunder coming to a conclusion.
Yeah, we are so thrilled with how the Thursday Night Thunder series has gone at the Weedsport Kartway. Our final event coming up on Thursday, August 19th. So we will wrap up our Thursday champions before we go back into our Sunday series on Sunday, September 19th. So all 8 classes will be in action on August 19th. Pre-registration is already available. If you're a competitor, you can go right to weedsportspeedway.com and take care of that. Shane and we are just excited to have everybody back here in a few weeks and get ready for a big fall season of racing.
Absolutely. If you haven't been to the Kartway, the short port, get there. It's also going to be streaming live on Weedsport Productions Facebook page, so check that out as well.
Absolutely.
Some of the future racers of the big track right over there.
That's right. We've already had quite a few guys make the leap. Logan Crisafulli and some others winning races at the Speedway that were already Kartway champions.
Let's take a couple of quick questions before we go here tonight, Dan. Demon Dialer 12, it only seems appropriate that the name Demon Dialer would ask us this question. What do you guys think about the Super Dirt Series going back to Brewerton?
I'm stoked. I am absolutely psyched to have the Super Dirt Car Series going back to Brewerton. I mean, I'm going to be down there doing the Dirt Vision reporting. I guess the only thing is I might almost want to be in the grandstands. It's such an exciting race to watch, but I'll be in the infield working with Shane. And to me, it's just fantastic to see this series going back to the Brewerton Speedway on the bull ring of the Demon.
I have to agree with you 1,000%, man. The big block series back at the D-shaped Dirt Demon. Listen, I spent 12 of the best announcing years that I had on Friday nights at the Brewerton Speedway. I had so much fun watching those big blocks get around that track, and to see the Super Dirt Series coming back there on August 17th. Oh my gosh, I can't do backflips, but I tried to do one. And I'll tell you, I am so stoked. Like you said, you're going to be in the pits. I'll be up in the booth. It's going to be a great night. We've got the sportsmen are going to be there as well.
Right.
A fantastic doubleheader. And I'm excited. I really am.
Well, the best thing about going to Brewerton is you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. Just like at the Land of Legends Raceway, there's that influx of guys that run Brewerton every Friday night and that are just so fast and so strong. They're going to be able to give it to the series regulars. It's going to be an awesome meeting of the minds.
That is August 17th. Make sure you are there. The D-shaped Dirt Demon. Can't wait. Brewerton, New York, by the way, if you didn't know where that was. Popcorn Joel wants to know, what drivers do you feel are eligible for the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame next year?
Currently, well, Shane, I guess the first name that would come to my mind would be Billy Decker. Yes. Obviously, a driver that, has done absolutely everything there is to do in the world of modified racing. So he would be right up there at the top of my list.
And, just to give a little background on that, drivers need to be 55 years or older to be eligible for induction into the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Billy Decker does meet those criteria. Another driver that also meets that criteria is Jimmy Horton.
Okay.
Now the question becomes, do they accept the invitation?
Right.
Because, yes, okay, you might meet the age criteria, but you're still racing. Do you want to continue to, it doesn't mean that you're retiring.
Right,
it doesn't mean
right.
that your career is over. It's not the golden key to the city, tap you on the tuchus and send you off into the sunset. It's nothing like that. It's, it's a great way to be recognized for your talents while you can still enjoy being recognized.
For sure. And I think that would be, at least to me, if you were Hall of Fame caliber, it might be kind of fun to have that opportunity and still be able to mingle with everybody and still continue to hone your craft while in that Hall of Fame. Just like Pat Ward, we could say.
Absolutely.
Hopefully those guys are very, very close to making their way.
I don't know if it was set up this way or not, but when we did this Hall of Fame race here at Weedsport, the first driver to come out onto the speedway was Pat Ward. And he was just inducted into the Hall of Fame.
It was so fitting. And unfortunately, Shane, I couldn't hear you, but I could only imagine. I was just like, oh, Shane's going to love this. This Pat Ward is the first car to roll on the track. How fitting was that?
And it wasn't even scripted.
Seriously, it worked out that way.
Dan, the fastest half hour in racing just went by again.
You can watch the Cowboys now.
I'll see them play for a few minutes anyways. Great to be back with you, buddy. As always, look forward to doing it again. We are going to be with the Super Dirt Series next week, Orange County Fair Speedway. Week after, Dan and I will be at Brewerton. Next time, Off Track TV Live is on Thursday, September 9th. Can't wait to do it again, my man.
Absolutely.
You got a race coming up?
I do. Saturday night at Oswego Speedway. First time in a month we're going to be back in action.
Good luck. Be safe.
Thank you very much.
For Dan Kapuscinski, for Brett Moses, the man behind the curtain, making it all happen here at Weedsport Productions, my name is the voice, Shane Andrews, saying thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at the races.